the hidden race for Arctic rare earths. Who's controlling the future of technology? Everyone talks about AI, electric cars, and high-tech gadgets, but very few understand the real battle behind them. Hidden beneath melting Arctic ice lie rare earth elements that control the future of global technology, weapons, and power. The United States, China, and Europe are all quietly maneuvering to secure these critical resources, but what they don't tell you is how Greenland, Canada, and tiny Arctic communities are suddenly at the center of this high-stakes game. If you want to uncover the secret forces shaping tomorrow's world, stay with me. And if you're intrigued by these hidden stories, make sure to subscribe to the channel. When we think of the Arctic, most people picture icebergs, polar bears, and remote landscapes far away from the centers of power. But beneath that ice lies a treasure far more valuable than gold, oil, or even traditional minerals: rare earth elements, critical to everything from smartphones to satellites, electric vehicles, and advanced weapons. These elements, neodymium, dysprosium, terbium, and others, are the silent backbone of modern technology. What's less obvious is that control over these resources isn't just about economics. It directly affects national security, global technological dominance, and geopolitical leverage. Countries that dominate rare earth supply chains can dictate who gets access to the next generation of high-tech products, who can build advanced weapons systems, and even who sets the standards for artificial intelligence and renewable energy infrastructure. The stakes are staggering. A handful of mines in Greenland, Canada, and Siberia could shift the balance of power on a global scale. And while mainstream news occasionally reports on rare earths, almost no one highlights the underlying strategic maneuvers that are happening quietly behind the scenes. The story of rare earths in the Arctic is not new. During the Cold War, the Arctic was a zone of strategic interest, primarily for military bases and early warning radar systems. The Thule Air Base in Greenland, for example, was established by the United States in the 1950s to monitor Soviet missile launches. Few people realize that this military interest has evolved into a full-scale economic and technological strategy. In the early 2000s, China emerged as the dominant global supplier of rare earth elements, controlling over 90% of production. Western countries suddenly found themselves dependent on a single power for materials critical to defense and industry. This led the US, Canada, and European nations to explore Arctic territories as potential alternative sources. Greenland, with its vast mineral deposits, suddenly became a strategic hotspot. The Arctic Council, often discussed in diplomatic circles but rarely in mainstream media, has become a silent battleground where nations negotiate access, investment, and environmental concessions. Greenland's government, increasingly autonomous, has skillfully positioned itself as the gatekeeper of Arctic resources, leveraging interest from superpowers to strengthen its own economy and autonomy. Mainstream headlines often focus on AI breakthroughs, electric cars, or the occasional Arctic summit. Rarely do they connect the dots that the future of these technologies depends on control of a few key resources hidden under ice and permafrost. What they're not telling you: China has quietly secured Arctic mining rights through shell companies and joint ventures. The United States is using military and research outposts to map mineral deposits, often under the guise of climate research. European powers are funding infrastructure in Greenland and Canada not just for trade, but to ensure influence over the flow of strategic materials. Local communities, sometimes small towns with fewer than 2,000 people, are suddenly negotiating billion-dollar deals that could redefine their economies and sovereignty. These maneuvers are invisible to the casual reader, but have huge implications for global power dynamics. Control of rare earths isn't just about tech. It's a geopolitical chessboard where every move counts. Rare earth elements are essential for a wide array of applications. Neodymium and dysprosium for permanent magnets in electric motors and wind turbines. Europium and terbium for advanced display screens and lasers. Cerium and lanthanum for catalytic converters and batteries. But the military applications are even more consequential. Modern fighter jets, missile systems, radar arrays, and satellite technologies all require these materials. Countries that control the supply chain can effectively delay or block rivals from building advanced defense systems. This is why Greenland, Canada, and even small parts of Siberia have suddenly become political leverage points. Deals struck quietly today may determine who leads the AI arms race, who dominates clean energy markets, and who controls the next generation of advanced weaponry. The Arctic rare earth story is not just about minerals, it's about money and influence. Governments invest billions in infrastructure, research, and security to gain access to deposits. Corporations lobby and negotiate for exclusive rights. And at the center of it all are hidden networks of power brokers making deals away from public scrutiny. Consider this: a tiny Greenlandic port, previously a quiet fishing town, is now home to multi-billion-dollar projects financed by American, Chinese, and European investors. Local decisions, often overlooked, have global consequences. Who gets mining rights can shift markets, influence trade wars, and even affect international alliances. Every investment, treaty, and infrastructure project is a calculated move on the geopolitical chessboard. For viewers, this means that what seems like a remote Arctic news story is actually shaping the technology you use every day, the cars you drive, and the military balance your country relies on. Let's step back. In 1950, Greenland's Thule Air Base was a Cold War sentinel. By 2026, the same region is a high-tech, high-stakes battlefield. The players: United States, military and technological superpower, seeking diversification from China. China, dominant rare earth producer, quietly expanding Arctic influence. European nations, strategic investors, balancing dependence on both superpowers. Local governments, Greenland and Canada, asserting autonomy, leveraging interest. This narrative shows a pattern repeated across history. Resources drive power, and those who control them silently shape the world. Unlike headlines that come and go, these Arctic developments will influence global tech and defense for decades. For viewers, understanding these hidden forces reveals why geopolitical decisions matter in everyday life, from your smartphone to renewable energy policy to national security. Tech independence: who controls rare earths controls AI, EVs, and advanced electronics. National security: future defense systems depend on these resources. Global power shifts: even small Arctic towns can influence superpower strategies. Economic leverage: stock markets, energy markets, and trade deals are all affected. This is a story about hidden influence, not headlines. And for intelligent viewers, it's a rare opportunity to see how decisions in remote regions dictate the global balance of power. The Arctic rare earth race is happening now, quietly, but its effects will be felt for decades. Superpowers maneuver, local governments negotiate, and hidden resources determine the technologies of tomorrow. Understanding these forces gives you insight into the invisible hand shaping our world. If you want to see more hidden stories, understand who really controls global power, and learn the secrets they don't report in mainstream news, subscribe to The Quiet Forces. Join us as we uncover the forces shaping the world behind the headlines.